Well, thank you for coming. My name is Brian Lofink, and I'd like to welcome you to the breakout session for this conference. I will cut short the introductions and try to get this a little bit closer to being on time. I would kindly ask that for the presenters that we realize that the Q&A will follow all 5 presentations. And I'm happy because in different realms, I know each presenter in different aspects of my life. It's kind of unusual. That way, I have some from way back in 89, 90, and then some currently, and it's been very enjoyable. We will start with a panel that has 4 individuals on it, and the title of that is Community Collaboration to Build a 21st Century Real-Life Learning Portal. We have 4 distinguished speakers on this panel. We start first and foremost with one of the primary organizers of the conference, someone who I've gotten to know over the last couple of months of a Friday afternoon session, Leslie Brassfield, who's the Missoula County Public Schools Director of Public Relations. She's been in this position for 12 years and has worked developing alumni relations and fundraising at Idaho State University. And then we also have Susan Nash on my left, who is the president of Partners Creative, a local full-service integrated marketing communications company with multiple business sectors, clients throughout the country. And she received her education at the University of Kansas and has been developing a passion for fishing and raising her family in the Rocky Mountain West. Then we're also fortunate to have Dr. Sean Klaus on my right, who is a faculty member in the School of Business and Management Information Systems. And he has been here since 2001. 2009 as his, but I'll go quickly on past that.
1990, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many dates in your bio that it gets confusing. And then we're also fortunate to have what I think is the most important person in the panel is a student, because this is, after all, what education is about, is providing an opportunity for our students to learn and, more importantly, share so that us in education can enhance our ability to provide a better education. Crystal Wood is a senior MIS business student working as the developer for Missoula County Public Schools Portal Project, and she has previously worked with the Office of Alumni Relations as a technology consultant with ATG Missoula Solutions Center, and following her commencement in this upcoming Saturday, she will start in the fall a Master's of Public Administration. We have 8 minutes to go, so I will start you now.
Good morning. We're going to move this quickly because we really want to give Crystal some time to show you this website project that we've been working on. It's a prototype that we have for you today. So this morning our project is titled Community Collaboration to Build a 21st Century Real-Life Learning Portal. In addition to myself, of course, as Brian mentioned, you'll be hearing from Susan, Sean, and Crystal. This project is the result of an ongoing collaboration that started last fall between the school district, the University of Montana, Partners Creative, a business here in the community, and a handful of other organizations. It's really focused on the development of a web portal or an application that allows our high school students, our employees, parents, businesses, and other local professionals to register online and connect with each other to engage in learning opportunities such as internships, job shadows, and other types of experiences. In addition, through this portal, we want to be able to give our educators opportunities to connect with classroom speakers, curriculum resources, and also do externships out in the community. This portal, what really is driving this portal is the school district's 21st century model of change and some of the elements that has brought about, including student engagement and transforming our learning environments. We know that this portal will engage students through the technology and the communication structures that they are comfortable with using every day. It will improve the efficiency of our organization as a school district, and it will allow all users to create an online resume or sort of an historical archive of their volunteer experiences. At this time, I want to go ahead and pass this over to Susan Ash to talk more about the project collaboration.
So the way some of this began a while back is there were some business people in the community who heard about 21st century thinking, 21st century learning, and it resonates with us because, as you heard this morning, business owners are looking for creativity, collaboration, creative thinking, critical thinking skills. And a couple of us stepped up and said, how can we begin to be a part of that? And we specifically started with connecting our high school student senior projects with the business community. And it's turned into a much bigger project, and as we've gone through it, we've really begun to discover how can we harness the passion and the entrepreneurial spirit of the business community and make that connection with our students. And it's already, how can we connect kids at an earlier level with that? Because we're already doing it. A lot of businesses are already doing it on the university level where we're mentoring teams and we've got internships going, but how can we bring that one level down? So, and then we also, through this course of discovery, have said, how can the business community more closely connect with our educators, because we are on the front line of the workforce, and how can we help our educators see what we're needing in our environment that these kids need to get to be healthy and learning in high school and moving on to college and then coming out of college. So we decided, Leslie and I began to talk about this. We said, how can we begin to look at this project? We said, well, let's begin building a prototype. Let's investigate our options. Let's begin to define the scope of what we could do with technology to make this connection. And we were already, Partners was already working with Sean Klaus on mentoring some other MIS students, and we called up Sean and said, Sean, we have a project that is a real project that we want to work on with Missoula County Public Schools. And so we said, let's model the very behavior we're asking our students to do. Let's get the business community collaborating with MCPS, with the university, and with students to begin to figure out how we can build something. And that's how the project began with the university.
Okay, the class I teach is with the business school is project management, and I try to find students real projects out in the community that'll take somewhere between 240 and 300 hours. Half of that time is spent on planning and learning how to manage the project. So they try to identify real problems in businesses that they can use an information system to solve that, or they can build an information system to solve that project or problem. They do a project plan to keep the project on time, on budget, and on task. They conduct research, they build it, they design it, they test it, they implement it, and then present it to their clients. This is a really, really complex project that the students worked on. Estimates are probably would take at least 2,000 hours and might be 5 figures to buy a system or pay somebody to do it. So this group of students picked one piece. It's a 2-semester project. Last semester worked on the student part of the portal, and this semester they worked on the community part of the portal. So I'm going to turn it over to Crystal, and she'll show you what they created.
So we really focused on making the portal easy to use for educators, for volunteers, and for students. And we had to meet, as Sean said, the short development schedule. We had about 3 weeks to develop this. And we ended up choosing Moodle as our system and kind of turned it into a content management system. And by doing that, we were all able to contribute to all of the phases of the project. And so I'll do a quick demonstration here of the site. So it starts out at this home page where it welcomes people to the portal, and administrators can easily change this welcome screen depending on what is going on in the community. And then the main area is Volunteer Central, where volunteers can again see what's going on. So they can easily see what's going on in the community again and where volunteers are needed, and they can actually book right online. And so say I wanted to go on this Frenchtown field trip, I simply click that. It gives me a little bit of information about it. And for some reason, it is not. I just tried this too. But it shows the places are available, and there is, when it's working correctly, there's a little button that says book now, and the volunteer actually gets an email that confirms that they have signed up for this event. And so if I click on one of these that I'm registered for, I think it's IE. Let me just switch here. Nope. Okay, and then we also have a tagging system that the students can use, and the volunteers in the community can actually post opportunities for students. And as you see here, it develops this word cloud. And say I wanted to help homeless, so I could easily click that and look and see what opportunities are available for students to work with the homeless in the community. And so with that, I would like to thank our collaborators and the community that helped us with this, and my fellow MIS students in my group, Ian Fletcher, Sada Malik, Travis Hannon, and Kelly Nosen, who, if they would stand for just a moment to be recognized to help. And we'd be happy to answer any questions at the end of the conference.
Thank you very much.
Do you want me to get it ready for the next person while you talk?
Yeah, please. Samir Bachar.
Yep.
Well, the next speaker will be talking about teaching Arabic at the last best place, which is Montana in this situation. I'm happy to introduce Professor Samir Bachar, as I work closely with Professor Bachar for the last 10 years. Matter of fact, our offices are next door to each other, so under this one I'm under pressure to make sure that I do his introduction correctly, or I'll hear about it for a long time. Professor Samir Bachar is a lecturer of Arabic language and cultures at the University of Montana, a native of Palestine. Mr. Bachar eventually came to Montana at the age of 16 as a freshman in college. He earned his first degree in civil and structural engineering in 1980. In May of 2009, he received his master's from the University of Montana in linguistics, teaching methods, and cultural geography. He's a little shy in his bio because he says he's been teaching Arabic at the University of Montana since 1999, but I should point out that Professor Bachar started the Arabic program at the University of Montana, and it's a very impressive program. I have to say, I just returned from a national conference on teaching foreign languages, and the fact that the University of Montana has anywhere between 75 to 90 students in Arabic language in a non-heritage learning community is extremely impressive. He has been extremely active in the community. He was most recently awarded the Faculty Diversity Award this semester for his work at the University of Montana. It's my pleasure to introduce my colleague and my brother, Abu Ramzi.
السلام عليكم أيها السيدات والسادة. Shalom, حافرين بحافرات. Peace be upon you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. It is my pleasure and honor to be with you here today. I would like to thank my brother and colleague, Brian, for his thoughtful and kind introduction. I would like to thank all of you for your participation, and I would like to thank the organizers for bringing us together. I am Palestinian by birth and experience, American by naturalization and experience, but most of all and closest to my heart, I am Montanan by residence and experience. I received all my higher education in Montana. I am a Montana product, and I'm proud of it. I also got my wife in Montana, and the story goes on and on. You know, I strongly believe that everything starts with language, so kindly allow me to start with the power of language. And if we take Arabic for an example, it continues as it has done throughout history and centuries to ensure the linguistic unity of the Arab world. You know, the Arab world extends from the Atlantic all the way to the peninsula, 22 countries. It's an area about 1.5 the area of the US. And of all nationalism in the world, the Arab nationalism is actually a linguistic nationalism. That's what keeps the Arabs together and has been. Arabic is the one tongue that can make the following claim: it has not changed in 14 centuries. As Americans, our diversity is one of our nation's strengths. And I'm very proud of all the diversity on our campus. And also, as Americans, we need to develop the linguistic and cultural skills that will allow us to explore and understand the cultures and history of our current world, which truly affects our daily lives as Americans. You know, Ludwig Wittgenstein said, quote, "The limits of my language mean the limits of my world." And that is so true. For me, language has opened and continues to open the greatest doors in my life. I've been to 14 countries, 22 states. I've worked in many different projects, and almost from the first time I worked, it was my linguistic and cultural competence that gave me the position and the experience and the opportunity to work. I worked in Saudi Arabia, I worked in England, I've worked in the US, I speak Arabic, Hebrew. I do get in trouble with French. Of course, I speak English, and according to my daughter, I speak Montanan with an accent. You know, here at the UM, we have expanding opportunities for everyone to learn about world languages and world cultures. And through the innovative union and collaboration between the University of Montana and the Missoula County Public Schools, we are bringing all these opportunities to the younger generation of students. I've been at the University of Montana since 1999. But I've always had a role in the local schools. In fact, I started at Washington Middle School as a parent volunteer teacher tutoring math. And that was the door that opened all these successes at Missoula, Montana, and Montana at large. The Summer Institute that we have, and this is our 5th year, is called StarTalk. It's a presidential initiative that was started, and we latched onto it in the summer of 2008. And via the Summer Institute StarTalk, which we call MASI, the Montana Arabic Summer Institute, we have been able to bring the opportunities available at the University of Montana through collaboration with the Missoula County Public Schools to the high school students. And the Institute this summer will be offering 2 levels. We have level 1 for students who have not had any exposure to Arabic, and level 2 is for students who have had Arabic. Now, we draw and recruit from 7 schools in Missoula and the surrounding areas, and I'm very proud to say that we've had students over the years from all the different schools. Mainly we get the students from, of course, the 3 large public schools, Big Sky, Hellgate, and Sentinel, but we've had students from Stevie, from Frenchtown, from Loyola, the students are amazing. I love my students, and especially the ones that come from Montana. Everybody, everywhere we go, I get the opportunity to present national and international, and everybody is impressed. You have all this in Montana, and we say, yes. We have Arabic at the university level, we have Arabic at the high school level, and you'll be proud of your students. We have graduates from the Summer Institute who have already made very long strides. We have several of them at Georgetown University majoring in Arabic or Middle Eastern Studies. One of them received the Sultan Qaboos Scholarship. Last summer, we had 2 students from Hellgate go to Morocco for 8 weeks. And this summer, we will also have students going to Oman. And these are the Montana kids here. So I'm very proud of that. Now, allow me to share with you the philosophy which I put in place, developed, and constantly revisit to achieve the successes of Arabic at the UM and the programs of cooperation we have with the Missoula County Public Schools. I urge all the teachers, and especially teachers of critical language, because that is my forte, to embrace the student. I strongly believe in educating the whole person. And I put together this slide and this philosophy where you can see embrace, expand into environment, message, believe, respect, awareness, classroom, And last but not least, empowerment. When it comes to environment, in a critical language class, students find themselves in an unfamiliar environment. Thus, understanding the emotions that accompany such an experience is both imperative and essential in providing a positive classroom environment to guide the students in their cultural and educational experience. This is not my most comfortable position. I like to walk around and use my hands, so I'm a bit restricted given the time restrictions, so please allow me to apologize. Let me run to respect. As a teacher, I greatly respect the sanctity of my message. As an educator, I love and respect my students. Thus, I include their ideas whenever possible in the lesson plan and ask them to take as much responsibility for their learning as they can. My dear colleague whom I love says you're down to 1 minute, so I'll switch to empowerment. Customarily, educators talk about empowering the students in the context of teaching a critical language, and this is very important. We need to expand the circle to include empowerment of the teacher. And, but last but not least, I strongly believe that it is a moral obligation of all educated society members to be active in contributing to the education process in order to preserve a healthy, pluralistic, multicultural, democratic society locally, nationally, and at the global level. How am I doing? Good. Okay. And I want to share something with you from a Muslim scholar I love and admire, and that is to ask everybody to be a thumb. I would always choose to be a thumb. Of the 5 fingers of the hand, the thumb is the most important, although it appears to be the shortest. 1, it is only finger that can reach all the others with ease. It is essential for holding anything of weight between 2 fingers. It plays the maximum role in holding a pen and writing, knowing that writing represents the epic of human ascent. The same is true for its role in creating fine arts. People of the world are like the fingers of a hand. I would choose to be a thumb rather than any other finger, even though the latter may bear ornaments with gold, jewels, or diamonds. Shukran wa salam khtam. Thank you very much. That was fast.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Buttar. Next, we'll have an opportunity to listen to Scott Shook, who is a Missoula County Public School teacher at C.S. Porter Middle School. And it was nice to catch up with Scott, going back into the history. We were just chatting about how he worked at the restaurant where I met my wife. So it's nice to see a familiar face. Scott, please come and to the table. And he's been in Montana for 20 years, although born in New York City. He currently has a son in the middle school, and he enjoys hiking, camping, reading, and music. And this is particularly in the case with the guitar and the mandolin. This is his 7th year teaching, and he loves his work. He has taught mathematics and communication arts at the middle school level, and currently has the great fortune to teach an exploratory class called Creative Communications, which focuses on the 6th grade in speech and drama. 7th graders explore aspects of journalism, including newspaper and blogging. For the 8th grade semester, students explore video production, and this class is designed to engage students in the production of authentic products while grounding in the starts of communication arts. It's my pleasure to introduce Scott Shook.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you. Thanks, Brian. I want to share with you something that I hear almost every day. And I think a lot of other teachers hear it as well. And this is what it sounds like at the middle school level. Why do I have to do this? A lot of us struggle with student motivation. I was sitting in a meeting the other day, and someone was droning on and on about the latest buzzword in education. And I heard the same thing come from my mouth. Why do we have to do this? If we can't motivate ourselves, how can we expect to engage our students? But then it clicked. The buzzword at this particular meeting was 21st century learning. And I realized I'm already doing something in one of my classrooms that not only engages students in the 4 C's of 21st century learning, but it engages the students and it engages me as well. and I think you can do it too. One of the classes I teach is 8th grade video production. In this class, students are engaged in these 4 C's: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Most importantly, I let my students lead, and I think the results are amazing. We analyze short films for story elements using good old-fashioned literary analysis. We look at character, conflict, plot structure. That's the what of the story being told. But we also look at the how that story is told. How do camera angles, movement, pacing, score all work together to help communicate a story through the visual medium? This is the vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structure of film. We learn to read this language through an exploration of short films made by professionals as well as by students just like them. We learn to write this language by making films. I ask students to demonstrate certain elements of filmmaking through a variety of smaller projects. They have a lot of creative freedom within these parameters, but they must collaborate to pull these tasks off. Students all have an opportunity to direct films. They take advice from their peers, but the ultimate creative decisions rest with them. I get most excited about our culminating project each semester. After various smaller productions exploring the different techniques of filmmaking, we all collaborate as a whole class, as a bigger production that could not be done without the effort of the entire class. Each student develops an idea, a good story, using the elements of plot structure that we'd been exploring all semester, and they turn that idea into a script. Then they pitch their script idea to the class, and the class chooses one that they want to work on. Recently, I had a class that didn't like any of the ideas, and I watched them argue and fight and bicker about not wanting to do any of them, and I said, hey, why don't we combine a couple of these ideas? And that was all I said, and by the end of the class period, we had an idea that was greater than the sum of the parts. And it was an amazing movie. I help them get the project rolling. I hire a student to be the director, and together we hire assistants and team leaders, and they head up different aspects of the project. They plan and storyboard the scenes, they rehearse with the actors, they plan for props and costumes and locations, they film the movie, they edit the movie, and we present the movie to a bigger audience. I offer guidance and support along the way, but mostly I have to gauge when to step in and when to step back. When I step back, I like to say I let the magic happen. But I think we'd all agree that it doesn't always work so smoothly when you step back and let the students take charge. And you're absolutely right, it doesn't go smoothly all the time. But these glitches, these problems, they're opportunities for authentic, real-world, creative problem solving. And I think that we'd all agree that that's a skill that no 21st century citizen should be without. My students love making movies. I have no special training in film or video, nor is there any expensive professional equipment in my classroom. We mainly use inexpensive digital cameras and camcorders. The latest HD devices are not necessary. Neither is expensive software. We use Windows Movie Maker that comes installed on every PC, and iMovie is available on Macs, all free of charge. The web, especially YouTube, great source for tutorials for how to do certain filmmaking techniques. It's all right there. But this is not just for specialty classes like mine. Movie making and the camera can find a home in any content area classroom. Storytelling is my focus, but math classes can do instructional videos. Students of history can make documentary movies. PE classes can do instructional videos. Health classes can make public service announcements. The possibilities are endless. Experience pitching ideas. Working together to communicate these ideas to a wider audience. Collaborating to solve problems. Thinking critically about what has been done before so we can do it better. Leadership experience. These are the skills we want our students to have when they leave our classrooms and enter the real world. Albert Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Logic can get you from A to Z, but imagination can get you everywhere. Allow your students to lead. Allow them to create and solve problems. They will shine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Scott. Next, we will have two presenters who will be discussing. Their title is When Missoula Was Young, Engaging Students and Living History of Their Community, a Flat Classroom Approach. And I'm looking to see, I haven't had the privilege of meeting everyone yet. So we have two folks today. We have Margaret Petty, a Missoula County Public School teacher at Lewis and Clark Elementary, and Cindy Schultz, who's the chair of the Business and Technology Department at Sentinel High School. Margaret Petty has 38 years of teaching experience in both regular and gifted education. She received her MED in curriculum instruction from the University of Montana and a BA in early childhood education from the University of Michigan. Of Michigan. She has taught in teacher workshops and institutes in schoolyard ecology, inquiry science, education for all, and gifted education. She has received numerous awards for teaching and curriculum development, including the Presidential Award for Excellence in Elementary Science Teaching, International Partners in Flight Public Awareness Award, and the Montana Environmental Educator of the Year Award. This year, she is the recipient of the Great Montana Classroom Award from Plum Creek Foundation to promote student engagement and expanding learning opportunities beyond the core curriculum. Margaret Petty is currently teaching third grade at Lewis Clark Elementary School in Missoula. Cindy Schultz has over 10 years of teaching experience in adult and high school education. She has received her administrative license from the University of Montana, an MED in technology and education from Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and a BS in comprehensive business education from Plymouth State University in Plymouth, New Hampshire. She is a flat classroom certified educator and an Adobe education leader as well. She has taught adult education classes and professional development workshops with a focus on technology integration. She is also the lead web design instruction for the Montana Digital Academy. She is an active participant in building and district professional development technology committees and is on the board of directors for the Missoula Educators Credit Union. She currently serves on the Business and Technology Department, chair of Sentinel High School here in Missoula, and she teaches graphic design, web design, digital film, and instructs all of her classes in a blended hybrid method using Moodle. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. The story of our project, When Missoula Was Young, begins with the story of young Missoulians. Alice Woody is on the left, and her pal, her cowgirl pal, is Lucina Warden. You may not know these individuals by name, but you might know their fathers because they're considered the founding fathers by some of Missoula. Alice's father was Frank Woody, who was the clerk in the Higgins-Warden Trading Post and Old Hellgate Village, which later became the Missoula Mills Warden and Company store. And Lucina's dad was one of the owners. And there's Frank Woody, dad, sitting in front of the old Trading Post at Old Hellgate Village. In third grade, we are charged with learning about local history. And so, of course, we learn about the founding fathers. We certainly hear about C.P. Higgins, who our big street is named after, but we don't know much about his many children, except that maybe the streets were named after him, one of whom is Morris, who in 1892 was shot and killed on Front Street while fighting a fire. We know about Jeanette Rankin, of course, but we don't know much about her childhood. What my students are most interested in, not only about our founding fathers, is about what is relevant to them, which is the stories of children who lived during that time, and also the story of those people who are underrepresented in our history, in the historical record. And one of those persons who typically fills that bill is Marianne Combs, who is on the right, and her sister Ellen Big Sam. Marianne Combs was the last surviving member of Chief Charlot's Salish band, who was forced to leave the Bitterroot Valley to go to the reservation in the Flathead. When she was 10 years old, she crossed the Higgins Avenue Bridge, while perhaps Alice Woody and Lucina Warden stood among the other Missoulians on Higgins Avenue to watch them pass through on their way to the reservation. Because I wanted my students to learn about history with diverse perspectives and in a way that was authentic and relevant, I wrote and received a grant from the Plum Creek Foundation to have my students working as expert historical researchers to be able to use primary sources in original research to reconstruct life in the community in 1883 when Missoula became a town through the eyes of children. And in collaboration with Sentinel High School students, my students are focusing on research on ordinary and extraordinary individuals who were children when Missoula officially became a town. Why in 1883? Because in 1883, Missoula was still a fledgling frontier village. But then something happened in 1883 that transformed our community into a commercial and cultural center. And that was the Northern Pacific Railroad, which punched through and formed a vital link between Missoula and trade networks throughout the West. In 1883, Frank Woody, Alice's dad, became the first mayor. And during that time, Missoula finally became a town and became a major commercial center for the West. There are a lot of voices and a lot of different perspectives that we can use to look at the past besides the traditional textbook narrative with one perspective. And so we wanted to present an authentic product, which at the end is a historical documentary that my students will create, in which they will present to a real community, the public of Missoula, and eventually contribute to our historic record. They want to present what's important to them, which is history from a child's point of view, and events that were interesting to children during that time. Alice Woody is one of our research subjects. What happened to her? She lived a long life. She never married. That's probably why she lived a long life, frankly. She ended up living in a little cabin in Big Fork. She was a correspondent for the Daily Interlake. Every week she wrote a weekly column about early Montana history. She was well loved and actually received, if you can see there, Miss Woody wins a trip. In 1954, she was invited to appear as a star in New York City on a TV show called Wonderful City. And she was given that award because of the work that she had done to make early Montana history alive for children. She was 80 years old at the time, bedridden in a hospital bed with severe arthritis with a brace on her back. She couldn't make the trip. So as a grand prize, they gave her, get this, 6 months of cortisone and a record player, a 45 RPM record player, records, and 2 dresses. We did not learn that information in a history book. We learned it on digitized newspapers found on Ancestry.com. The widespread efforts that are being taken right now to digitize historic documents and primary sources has made it possible for even third graders to have access to primary sources with diverse perspectives and digital tools that are allowing them to record history and share it and become real contributors to the archives of history. The old school model of passively learning content through a textbook perspective with one single perspective is no longer sufficient for our students in this world. Students need to develop skills in critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and collaboration. And so in our project, our students are using the community as its textbook. We're going to the public library and using old tools like the microfilm reader. We're still using iPads in that environment with our high school mentors. We're still looking at old books. And we're going to the university and looking at the fabulous photo archives that are present there. We're still looking at card catalogs. But in addition to looking at 21st century digital tools, I want my students to experience real life experiences in real places, field experiences where we go and are in the places of the subjects that they're studying. We're reading gravestones, we're interviewing family members, and we're having lots of opportunities then to indeed follow Alice Woody's footsteps a little bit backward into the 19th century past, but that leads us again into a 21st century future. We couldn't have done this without collaboration. With the collaboration of the city and the university, of our high school mentors, and most importantly, my brilliant collaborator, Cindy Schultz, who's going to talk about how we used collaborative tools in our project and how this project can be a model for flattening the classroom.
Okay, that's what I was going to do. However, we're running out of time. So I think what I'm going to do is we created a short video that's just about 1 minute long that really shows the power of collaborating. And really, what's happened is because we are able to work with almost anyone, anywhere, anytime, that is really what's allowed us to do this type of thing along with the technology. So what I would like you to do is think about how you might be able to do this in your classroom, really collaborate, reach out outside of the walls. This is a cross-curricular, multi-age project, and we hope to carry it actually internationally. I hope you see the power of this. There's no sound.
We apologize about the sound.
We can pretend we're in the 19th century.
Hopefully these photographs really show you the power of this project. Thank you.
And as we're waiting for the tech to come to work on the sound, as the sound will be essential for this next piece, I'll be helping.
We don't need that. We brought our own.
You brought your own?
Yeah, we're
okay.
good.
Good. Well, the next presentation is actually a rather more encompassing. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Karen Kaufman, who is the co-director for and I have to make sure I get the right name because I know it from Motrans in years past when I wouldn't even have worn a suit and you wouldn't recognize me. As you can tell, I've known Karen for quite some time. Co-Motion Dance Project is a project of the University of Montana, and it's a wonderful project. I think what they do, I've been following it for the last 20 years. Is the best man at my wedding was in the first troupe of Motrans or Co-Motion, and it's an extremely wonderful project that does tremendous outreach opportunities throughout not only Missoula but the entire state through movement. As we know, art is one of the ways to educate people. Voltaire has said that every art is a brother and a sister to all arts, and I'm a strong supporter of the earlier presentation today that talked about the need for art, for without opening one's minds and eyes to art, we will not have the ability to learn about each other in this ever-increasing small world. So with no further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Karen.
Where's my clicker? Okay. Thank you. I need some help finding that. Okay, we'll just begin. Okay. Creativity, innovation, collaboration. Hello, my name is Karen Kaufman, and over here to my right is Nicole Bradley Browning, and we are professors of dance at the university. These are our dance students, highly talented young artists, committed to developing their creative voices as dancers, choreographers, and teachers. Today's question, how in a world of constant change might we work together to cultivate imagination, creativity, and innovation? That's a big question. And I would say part of the answer is look to the arts. The arts engage us, entertain, help us think deeply about things, remind us to feel. The discipline of studying the arts reinforces commitment to lifelong learning and awareness of the intrinsic rewards of the process of creativity as well as the product. The arts help us become comfortable with ambiguity and remind us that in life there are many right answers. The Co-Motion Dance Project is an entity of students, community members, and faculty who are striving to enliven education using dance. Our work takes many forms. My recent choreography, Fire Speaks the Land, is a 50-minute performance that uses dance to explore fire science, forest ecology, and Native American traditional uses of fire. We travel to elementary and middle schools, set up costumes, lights, and scenery, and weave together music, narration, and movement connected to the science curriculum. The fire triangle: fuel, heat, and oxygen. Convection. Conduction. And radiation. The entire audience participates in movement that grows directly out of the curriculum using science vocabulary. Students, teachers, and principals all respond with excitement, both for the performance and its educational value. Creativity inspires, delights, and educates. Another way we're using the arts to enrich learning communities is through Flagship, a service learning project offered to our new freshman and sophomore dance students who visit MCPS schools to teach in the after-school programs. And I don't have, this isn't working for me, so you won't be able to see it, but recently an upbeat dance was taught to 4th through 12th graders across Missoula, which led to a flash mob that was performed at the Southgate Mall in March, performed by about 40 school children. And it really promoted a sense of community and fun. The arts join people together, unify us, provide celebrations of simply being alive. The arts teach discipline, thoughtful practice, perseverance. Perhaps our most groundbreaking work is MODE, Montana's Dance Education Project, research that is funded by grants and individual schools. Professional dancers spend significant time throughout the school year in classrooms, bringing dance into the curriculum. The desks are pushed aside, and students are carefully guided through a kinesthetic experience connected to spelling. Can anybody spell this word? Starting here. First letter's a C. Creativity! Way to go. And geometry, geometric shapes. Magnets. We think when we move. We move when we think. The model we developed partners a highly trained dance teacher with a classroom teacher. Because of the ongoingness of the program, deep relationships are built. MODE goes well beyond enrichment of the arts into building critical thinking skills and enduring understandings through a body and mind integrated arts approach. We are proud to be leaders in dance education, developing curriculum for international publication. Through UM and MCPS, we are collaboratively discovering new ways of enhancing learning, unlocking creativity, and deepening student engagement, using the human body as a teaching tool. The arts are personal. Dance and the arts require thinking skills and habits of mind that encourage multiple solutions to problems. Students learn to examine, evaluate, apply ideas, revise, and assess. Rather than cultivating a distance between us and our subject, we merge with our subject to inhabit our understanding and experience learning. Additionally, here at the university, we offer the Creative Pulse graduate program. Taught by faculty from multiple arts disciplines, the Pulse offers opportunities for practicing teachers to reconnect with their own creativity, work together, share ideas, try new things, and bring the best back to their classrooms. In addition to our national recognition as leaders in dance education, the artistic quality of our program's dancers is also recognized. In 2 weeks, 11 of our UM dancers will perform on stage at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. as a result of an adjudicated national competition, much like winning an NCAA tournament. This is the highest honor any college dance program can receive. And how is it that we at the University of Montana can achieve such prominence and success? Creativity, innovation, collaboration. When we embrace and reinforce our 21st century skills in education, our students thrive. And there is no greater reward for us as teachers than to see your students find their wings and fly. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We've gone a little bit over time, but we will have a few moments for an informal discussion session. And because of the venue and the way it's set up, I would just open it up to open dialogue if you have a question for any of the panelists or the presenters. We have about a 5-minute period to do so. Yes, Scott?
Cindy, I'm curious what software you used to create your cool movie.
The little movie we used Animoto.
Cool, thanks.
Took me about 5 minutes to make that movie.
5 minutes?
Not even.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Miss.
I was just wondering how long that curriculum had been in place, if you've had it just 1 year, or if it's been 5 years with your, is it a pilot?
And so the question was, I'm just going to repeat it since we're being recorded, is how long has this curriculum been in place, and what is the process of that?
It's just started.
It just started,
yeah.
great.
Yeah. It's just an innovative, risky business.
That's right. So you just implemented it this year.
Yes.
The first one.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
For Samira, how has language instruction changed since my pre-internet French lessons in high school?
Okay, so the question being is, how has language instruction changed over the last 10, 15 years, whereas the internet has become more inclusive and technology has been incorporated in language instruction?
In the Summer Institute, we implement a communicative approach, and we learn language by doing language. We are very keen about integrating all the skills into each and every activity. And from minute 1 until we're done, we're in a target language. So I've learned how to dance and stand on one foot and come up with gestures to produce comprehensible input and give the student a sense of accomplishment from our first interaction. I start with Arabic, and by the time the students are done with the first class, they can meet, greet, introduce themselves, tell you where they're from, and I tell them when you get home, teach your parent, your pet, everyone else. Because when you teach, you learn better. So, of course, all the methodology has changed, and we can spend a lot of time, if you wish, talking about that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we go join the rest of the group across the way? Questions? Well, please join me in thanking the presenters for taking time to come share.
At this point in time, I'd like to introduce Dave Oberbillig. Dave is a science teacher at Hellgate High School and has been an Einstein Distinguished Educator Fellow for the last 2 years. He's currently serving his second term at the Department of Energy in the Office of Science in Washington, D.C. His primary role there is in program support for undergraduate internship programs at the Department of Energy National Laboratories. As an Einstein Fellow, Dave has served on the National Academy of Sciences, Climate Change Education Roundtable, Committee to develop the Environmental Literacy Strategy for the Chesapeake Bay Executive Order, and the Ecological Literacy Commitment of the Ecological Society of America. He began his teaching career in Missoula, where he is a 15-year science educator, and he will be back at Hellgate High teaching in the fall of 2012. Today, he joins us to share his proposal for a STEM center that would support partnerships with business and higher ed in an effort to ensure that students are graduating with the skills necessary to fully participate in our expanding global market. So welcome, and we'll get started.
I'm not sure if I should keep this thing here or hold it in hand. Maybe I'll try to keep it right here. Can everyone hear me okay? Thanks, Lisa, for that really kind introduction, and to Lisa and Jane for organizing this really tremendous event. It's such great energy. Dr. Apostle for supporting this idea that I'm going to present, and of course, Dr. Engstrom for hosting here. Good morning, everyone. And I noted on the program, it says I'm from Missoula Country Public Schools, and I kind of like that idea. You know, Missoula Country, a little piece of paradise. And it's so great to be here presenting to all of you in this piece of paradise, because there's a lot of innovation happening, and you're the stakeholders of that innovation in Missoula. So I'm here to talk about this STEM Center and this program that we're going to develop, and a STEM Center that we're going to build. I'm really confident about that. And we'll need everyone's creative input and energy to be able to do that here. Without that, it'll be really difficult to make it happen. Really quickly, for those of you who don't understand this acronym, STEM refers to science, technology, engineering, and math. When it's done poorly, it means that everybody remains in their silos, they present things in their content areas, and do things business as usual. When it's done well, all of these areas are integrated, and not only that, but they extend into the other typical content areas of a school. And I'll mention that this is, as presented earlier on the panel, like the arts. Remember, one of the keys to really good science is creativity and imagination, and if we don't have those folks involved, we're really missing something. So I'm going to talk about a few things today, and hopefully it'll be enough to provide us with some food for thought and a framework for our discussions afterwards. But I want to be sure to note that there's already really tremendous STEM education going on in Missoula. We have really great science, math, career technology education educators here, and they do great things. And a lot of the reason they do great things is because they get an awful lot of support from the community. But we have an opportunity to do a little bit more, and we really have to think about moving forward, as we've talked about for much of the morning. And so that's what this proposal is about, is something that, that maybe we can add to the mix. So why not think big? This is a very STEM-engaged community. Not only do we have the University of Montana and the College of Technology, but we have Region 1 Office of the Forest Service, places like the Biomimicry Institute. I was just introduced to Blue Marble this morning, tremendous. 2 major hospitals, the Heart Institute. And of course, we have the agricultural basis of Montana. And as it turns out, there's tremendous partnership and funding opportunities here. And, you know, here we are in this sleepy little town, right, with all these global connections. So many of us run in the same social circles, and this provides for these opportunities. The question is, have we really taken advantage of those partnership opportunities when it comes to engaging our students, and especially our K-12 students, in what the career opportunities are going forward into the future? I think a STEM Center expands the potential for those opportunities. This is a national effort. As you can see, the goal is to create 1,000 STEM-focused schools. The new next generation science standards, which are coming out of the National Research Council and Achieve, they'll be released just this Friday, the first public draft of those. They include an awful lot of technology and engineering, and of course, there's a math focus as well. So this is a national effort. Basically, what we're talking about with those next generation science standards is STEM education. The best STEM centers are going to be teaching innovation and risk-taking. And it was so great to hear the panel this morning that that idea of risk-taking is something we really need to promote. And that's what can happen at a STEM center, at the same time as teaching some of the really foundation elements that students need to know to succeed well in the STEM enterprise. I'm not going to dwell on this too much. This is a really lousy slide, okay? And this graph, I put the line in. It looks all cattywampus. The point of this was that on the right-hand side, that's the United States. The line goes across to the left-hand side. That's the average for 15-year-old students in math around the world. And I think globally we're about, I don't know, right around 20th, something like that. All of the reports that have been happening over the last 20 years, this says, why is STEM the current rate? Well, it's not really current. We've known about this for about 20 years, and we've been working on it. And these STEM centers might provide an answer to helping us do a little bit better in these international comparisons. And I'm going to take a quick detour, but this sort of segues with the whole math piece. There's a national effort to close this math gap between K-12 and higher education. Basically, what it says is that students coming out of high school are not prepared to enter into higher education in STEM fields, mostly because of math. And so there's a big effort nationally for this. There will be funding available to develop this, and I know that some really interesting things are going on here in Missoula already. This, I think, provides for a really strong partnering opportunity. If we know better at MCPS what the requirements are to succeed in STEM areas at the University of Montana, then we can collaborate on that to get our K-12 students up to speed. One of the hallmark elements of a STEM center is this idea of project-based learning. Susan Maruka was talking about learning by doing, and that's really what this whole project-based learning idea is about. Now, there's a little bit of data up there. About half of the students in Missoula County Public Schools are taking career and technology education courses or industrial technology courses, so that's pretty good. We're doing pretty good in getting people involved in those hands-on things. Those who concentrate in those areas, they have really close to 100% graduation. So getting kids involved in project-based learning appears to be a real positive. And I want to say, and I would really be doing a disservice if I didn't mention that out at the Ag Center and with the CTE programs, the educators there, they understand this, and they've been doing it for a long time and doing a really tremendous job. The CTE portion of that, the technology and the technology education piece, is really the technology and engineering piece of STEM. Project-based learning keeps kids interested, and that's one of the goals, is to keep kids as engaged as possible for as long as possible. So not only do they graduate, but they're prepared to excel at the next level. And graduation does matter. I want to read just this little piece. Going forward, our career and technical education system will need a stronger STEM curriculum at the high school and sub-baccalaureate level that is more tightly linked with competencies necessary for STEM jobs. Graduation Matters is an MCPS and now state-level initiative. Thanks to Alex for raising that awareness and helping us find solutions. More STEM education equals more opportunity is basically what this says. And this is true because the kind of technologies that are out there in business and industry require more education. Nobody wants somebody that doesn't have the background and skills to be messing around with a $5 million machine. That's all there is to it. And if our students are really prepared to qualify for that next level, we don't want to have them going into the university level and having to take remedial courses. So a STEM center provides a little better connection and a little better motivation for them. The global economy is moving so rapidly that it's difficult for us to see into the future 10 years or 20 years down the road and know what the jobs and careers will look like. But regardless of that, there are some skills that if students take those forward with them, they will succeed. And those are communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. This is another one of the MCPS initiatives about 21st century skills. So it's our job to help our students see those things more clearly. We need to set them out there with an attitude that they are continually improving and problem solving. After all, they're going to have to do that to get out of James Stevens' pool with the blindfold on, and they need to be adding value to whatever it is that they're participating in. Otherwise, they won't succeed. So this is our challenge, is to come up with engaging projects that students are involved with, and where they're also being educated around these 21st century skills. I think one of the reasons why some kids get disinterested or drop out is because we continually talk to them about problems. You know, this is a problem, climate change is a problem, pollution's a problem, diversity loss is a problem, and it looks a little bit grim sometimes, but if we engage them in projects where they are developing solutions, this allows them to look forward a little bit more positively, and I think that's part of the hook. And this isn't just about workforce development. This isn't just about work. We all know that people who are better educated in general participate and make in public processes and make better decisions, are more informed. Not only that, but they get all the jokes. This is part of why we're here today. I mentioned our STEM-engaged community, and the potential for involving our students has really very few limits here. I'm just going to give a couple of examples of great things that are already happening. Andre Holian is here, and he's with the Center of Environmental Health Sciences. He's been working with Missoula County Public Schools for going on close to 10 years now, and we'll be continuing that work. Josh Slotnick and Garden City Harvest, they entertain 3,000 plus students a year on their farms and gardens. David Erickson, Dick Hutto with the Lab T program and the Noyce Scholars program. They'll be working to develop better STEM educators going forward. Many of you have probably mentored students here, and all of these are really important contributions. GK-12, the graduate students, this is a proven model. While that program is not happening anymore at NSF, we can facilitate having our graduate students involved in the K-12 schools, providing models and also learning to communicate their science themselves. Down at the bottom there, getting local businesses in our community in line with the idea that STEM education is about economy. It's not a social service. And if we do that, they're going to be much more willing to partner and be engaged in this idea. So having a center, a STEM center that acts as a hub for all of these activities and engages students, I think can provide some really unique synergies in this way. Here's what this might look like, and I'd really like you to focus on the essential STEM center elements at the bottom. I've talked about most of these, but this it allows for many more possibilities. The required core is a little bit different from what might be found at a typical CTE center with applied physics, computer science. I think earlier people were mentioning systems and design. And math is involved in all of these things and would be integrated into every one of the courses here. This is just an idea. It's going to take an awful lot of conversation and discussion and planning going forward to really sort out what the integrated courses might look like, who might be involved, how we do a really good job of integrating math into those courses to support our curriculum. But one of the key features is that this is project-based and student-centered, and that the students have an opportunity to pursue their entrepreneurial ideas. Brigitte mentioned to us earlier how important startups are in that idea, and this gets students involved with that whole idea of business development. This is an idea that I had about extending the school year, getting kids thinking about inquiry while producing a relevant and valuable product for their communities. It's a farm-to-school idea. The idea isn't to create a world full of organic farmers, but having people who think more like farmers is not so bad. They're problem solvers, they're innovators, they're risk takers, and not only that, but this gives them an opportunity to contribute to their community. This is Frank Gruden. He's one of my colleagues at Hellgate in industrial arts and industrial technology and CTE. This is his brainchild. The idea here is that there's a demand for green-collar jobs that will be increasing. Building sciences and renewable energy will incorporate ideas of material science, physics applications, and energy technologies. Frank's idea here is that students progress toward industry certification, so this gives them a goal that they can utilize as they graduate and also prepares them to seamlessly move into the COT programs or University of Montana programs. Not only that, but I hope they build my zero net energy home. And this part is absolutely essential. Databases and modeling. In the data-rich world of the future, we really need to get students up to speed. And as it turns out, many, many STEM jobs are going to be related to computer science and computer technologies. Networking. Social networks, this is the people version of dealing with data. And the ability to do this well and collaborate well is really important going forward. Rick Hughes mentioned these ideas earlier today. To get kids outside of the Missoula Valley, providing a communication center where they can engage with researchers around the country and around the world would facilitate our students' knowledge and act as an exploratory program for possibilities. This is my favorite part right here, and I'm not going to go into great detail on this because I'm watching this clock down here and I know Jane. K-20, really a locally driven professional development that is sequenced and long-term, where we can provide summer opportunities maybe over a month or 6 weeks of the summer. This could become a nationally recognized program, and I think there are really great possibilities to incorporate that in. Very last piece, and thank you, Jane, for allowing me this. This is why our students need to do this. Our high school freshmen class, by 2018, that's when they graduate, there will be about 2.5 million jobs for this 35% down at the bottom that need sub-baccalaureate training. The 65% that need a bachelor's degree or graduate education will have many more millions of jobs available to them. This requires our leadership and participation to develop the kind of program and the kind of center that will get our kids engaged so that the possibilities are there for them to have these jobs into the future. And I hope that we can all work together to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Well, as you saw in the program, the last portion for today is really a call to action, and we're sharing with you 2 ideas that we'll get an opportunity to talk about here following our last call to action. And so I have the pleasure to introduce Dr. Perry Brown, who is the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs at the University of Montana. He was UM's Associate Provost for Graduate Education from 2008 to 2010, and Dean and Professor, College of Forestry and Conservation, and Director of the Montana Forest and Conservation Experiment Station since 1994. Today he joins us to talk about UM's new Global Leadership Initiative, which was launched this past fall.
Thank you, Lisa. It's really nice to follow a friend for many, many years, and Dave Oberbillig. He and I shared completely different lives in Oregon in the last century. So it's really nice to have a chance to see Dave again and to listen to some things he's talking about. One of the things that I want to do is steal something right off of one of his slides that I picked up there, and that was the little note that you might have seen early on in his program where there was a place where it said, permission to think big. And that's what we want to do. We want our students out there thinking as big as they can, to thinking about the big issues and the big ideas that exist in the world and how they can be part of that. And as part of what you've heard this morning already, and President Engstrom referred to this, our strategic plan for the University of Montana, which is UM 2020, building a university for the global century. We have 5 strategic issues, but 3 of those are really important, or what I'm going to talk about as a signature program that we have at the university. The Global Leadership Initiative fits into 3 of them really significantly. Partnering for student success. We're all here partly because we want to see those students successful. We want them to live their dreams, to be able to realize the things, and we want them to be able to move this country and this world on into the future. We certainly are focused on education for a global century. I always describe this as a vastly different century than the one that I grew up in. There are a lot of things that are very, very different now than when I was growing up and when many of you were growing up. And so we really have to have education that is preparing people to really function in this century. And Rick Hughes talked about that a little bit. He wanted us to be very cognizant of what people are living today, the lives that they have today, the kind of world that they're in, and we have to have an education that does that. And then at the University of Montana, one of the things that we're trying to do is build as well as we can a truly dynamic learning environment, the best learning environment that we can possibly build at a public university in the United States. And we're about that. And I was in a conversation this morning where I think we even talked about building Missoula as one of the finest learning environments in the entire city and county of Missoula that you can find in the United States. And I think we have that opportunity to do that. So, as I said, there are a lot of different things that our students are going to have to know, they're going to have to be involved with, things that are going to be different in this century than they were in others. But some of the issues that they need to deal with are things like economic viability, population and environmental change, the effects of all the technological advances, much of which we have talked about today already, ethical dilemmas that we're facing and are going to face, and generation and distribution of wealth and resources and things of that sort. Also, as we look at this global century, and we really are going to be involved with producing leaders for this century that are innovators, that really do understand and know how to use those new technologies and embrace them as part of the way of living, and that they are going to be civically and culturally engaged people. So, out of all of that little background information, I want to tell you about the Global Leadership Initiative and what we're trying to do as we provide an opportunity for students that come to the University of Montana to truly take advantage of their interests, their passions, the relevance of what they want to do in their life, and take advantage of the dreams that they've already had and help them form some new dreams about the future. And so, in the Global Leadership Initiative, the thing that we're starting with are a set of seminars in the freshman year that really, hopefully, help them think big. These are big question seminars, big ideas, dealing with things like climate change, dealing with things like international trade, dealing with things like world health, dealing with things about technology and technological change and how that changes our lives and our world. And all of these kinds of big, big ideas that people have and how we can learn about those. So what we have gathered up is a group of students from around the campus. This is not an elitist program. We actually randomly selected the people that would be invited to participate in the pilot efforts in this particular program. We have about 150 students right now within the program that said, I want to be part of this whole thing the way you've laid it out, and I want to do this. They are now finishing up some of these big idea seminars that they're in right now. In addition to having a big idea seminar that parallels or moves along with their major at the same time, they're doing things and providing a context for their major in many, many ways. They are also beginning to develop pathways through the general education requirements. You probably all remember those. You took one from this category, and another one from this category, another one from this category, and you did that over 7 or 8 categories, and none of them fit together. They were just things that you randomly chose because that looked like an interesting course. Well, we're trying to find ways to help students choose things that relate to these big ideas that they're studying and investigating, and that they can actually choose some of the general education requirements that make sense, that make a nice pathway through that maze of opportunities. The Global Leadership Seminars are also general education courses, so they don't have to worry about the counting of credits or something like that. They're getting credits for those. That's the first year anyway. Big idea seminars. We've already got the invitation out now to the next class that's coming in. We hope we will have 200 people out of the next class that say, I want to be in there, they want to join up this thing for their academic career at the University of Montana. So the second year, we've dubbed it basically Models of Leadership. And what we want to do in the second year is we want to have our students, these students that are involved in the program, in small group settings, individually and other places, really meeting with leaders in the community, leaders in global health, leaders in international trade and the economics and all of those kinds of business activities that are going on, really meeting with those people, learning about their pathways to their career, how they got to actually serve on groups like Bill Gates' foundation, or serve in USAID, or serve someplace that they are right now. And how did they get there? Because most of them didn't get there in a very straight pathway. They took advantage of the experiences they were having. Our students can learn from those leaders and learn different pathways and begin to see themselves on different paths and different trajectories for their lives. And we want them to expand their minds in that way. One of the little gimmicks that's shown on this particular slide up here that we have here is for every student in the Global Leadership Initiative, we will buy their passport. It's a gimmick, but it's a gimmick to open your mind beyond Missoula, Montana, beyond the state of Montana. It's something to say, you now are empowered to think about the rest of the world and how you can engage in that world. And so we're building that component into this thing. And many of these leaders that come here, whether they're alumni from the university, whether they're from Missoula or from New York City or from Hong Kong, those people that will come here to share with these students will open a world to them. And they'll get some leadership experiences. We'll actually do some actual leadership training so that they learn the language and some of the ideas, but we really want them to see leaders in action and interact with people that have a strong work ethic, people that are innovators, people that are really leading companies or leading government organizations or leading new projects around the world in an NGO or wherever it happens to be. So that's the second year. And they will find their way through those general education requirements again with a more thoughtful way of putting those pieces together. The next year is the out-of-classroom experiences. We want every one of the students in the GLI to do an internship. And we heard a lot about that this morning, about the need for those kinds of experience, to do an internship or a civic engagement activity, not just one activity probably, but many of those activities. Go on a study abroad opportunity and really engage in another culture around the world, or immerse themselves in undergraduate research, working in some of our laboratories here on campus, working in laboratories in the community, working in laboratories in the hospitals and other places within Montana or elsewhere. It doesn't have to be in Montana, but we're going to expect every one of these students to have a major component of that third year of their experience really, really working on hands-on kinds of things, learning by doing, learning with people who have issues, problems, ideas, new creations that they're working on, and our students will become a part of that and learn how to do these things as well from master teachers and master entrepreneurs and master civic servants. So that's another part of the component. Then the next thing, the senior year, they come back, they take their large, big idea that they've been working on, this whole topic they've been working on in a group made up of people from multiple disciplines on campus. They get together, they find a specific problem within that big idea that is worth working on, and they then do some problem solving in a capstone experience, working on that particular topic as a group, kind of a boardroom kind of an experience where they're all interacting, they're all contributing their piece to the solution of this thing. I don't know what all the outcomes are going to be from those kinds of experiences. We expect some of them will probably develop white papers that they send off to the government or they send off to the Gates Foundation and say, here's a solution to a problem. Just what Dave was talking about a minute ago. Solutions, not just problems, but how we actually get some of the solutions. And these students are going to create ideas. They're going to create things for the future out of this. So some will be white papers. Others will probably produce videos of some kind and ship those around the world and say, this is my idea. This is what we're going to, what we've been thinking about. And here's a solution. I suspect they'll market some of these things so they can market themselves for jobs right out of that. Won't be a bad deal either if they've got a great product. But we see these students really thinking about solutions to problems and problem solving and preparing themselves for the future. So that's basically, it's a 4-part program. Starts with a big idea, models of leadership that will continue from that big idea onward, the hands-on, out-of-classroom, co-curricular experiences, and then this capstone experience that tries to bring it all together, all done in a multidiscipline environment, all done in a collaborative environment where you're learning and working together, and all done with the community. And I think out of all this particular activity, we can find great ways to work with Missoula County Public Schools and the flow of students in here working with instructors and with students in the public school system, that they just flow into a program like this because of the kinds of preparation that they've gotten through things like a STEM academy or a health academy or the International Baccalaureate program and all of these other things that we're beginning to adopt in this community. The students here are going to be really ready, and they're going to take us to a higher level of activity in the GLI than we have even dreamed of at this particular time. Just so that the students can brag about it a little bit, they are going to get a certification on this thing. They'll get a notation on their diploma. So that's the very last thing I put there on the small right-hand corner of this thing, that they're going to have that out of this thing too, so that they can brag about it and put it on their resumes and things of that sort. But I see tremendous opportunities for us to capitalize on a program like this that brings some real relevance to their major education and to what they want to do, that bridles some of that passion they have for some of these big issues in the world and that they want to work on. We're going to get them working right away. Over the last 2 weeks, I've had the opportunity to listen to some of the students that are in the program already, and to listen to what has happened to them over about a 3-month period while they've been in the program, and the transformation of their lives already, and the things that they're beginning to think about that they probably were not thinking about before they started, that their minds have been expanded, and they have dreams now of going to Thailand to take a look at the elephants and help with elephant protection there, or they have dreams about working in the World Health Organization or things like that, so that they really have these dreams now that have developed in students, and we're going to see them do wonderful things out of a program like this. And I think it's one that we can truly partner on and make a lot out of over time. These are all real students that are in the program right now. It may be a set-up photo, but they are students in the GLI that are active in it, and these are the kinds of students that are giving these testimonies right now. One of the things that we did, and I've got about 50 seconds left, I see, and one of the things we did is we had a kickoff for this about a month ago. We had speakers that came in and shared things, and leaders that shared with these students that came from government and business and other places, and shared some things with them, and some of them came away saying, I've got to tell other people about the programs in Missoula, Montana, because things are happening here that are going to change the educational world, and if we change the educational world, we change the larger world. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much for our final two speakers. We have time now until 11:45. This is our opportunity to take advantage of the expertise that resides in this room and to consider these three questions. This is our call to action. How might we as a community collaborate together to achieve some of these goals? So each of you has a table facilitator that will help this conversation, and what we're hoping is that you take on whatever question, or all of them if your table so desires, and take the next almost 15 minutes, but not quite, to really talk about what the possibilities are and how each of us might contribute to moving Missoula forward, as we have talked about today. So thanks so much. A couple things we wanted to highlight before I introduce our last piece, and that is the logo that you have seen today was developed by a high school student here in town. The programs that you have in front of you were developed by university students here. So at every step of the way, we have tried to incorporate this idea of internship and authentic work, and as well collaboration and partnership across all levels. So we wanted to make sure you were aware of all of the opportunities that we are hoping will continue as a result of today. So at this point, we have a great example of risk-taking. Hatton Littman and her students, Stephen Stater and Steele Williams, have all day today been taking photographs and have put together part of what is called a cell phone cinema. We're having a bit of technology challenge, which, as we all know, happens. So we're going to show you only the slides without some of the editing, but it will be available on the AEDU website later today. As well, the conversations that you've just had, since we have not had time to share those ideas, if you notice, our facilitators were locked into a Google Doc, and all of those are available on the MSLA AEDU website for you to go back to later. So at this point in time, I'm going to hand this over to Hatton, and then she is going to hand the baton finally to President Engstrom and Superintendent Alex Apostle to close us out for the day.
Thanks, Jane. I really want to thank you for including somebody like me who's doing something new and innovative here with students, and I want to thank you for including our students. And thank you for accepting that this is a huge risk. We tried to very quickly edit something together, and unfortunately with rendering time and upload time, we don't have something really high quality and clean in an edited video version for you to look at. But we're probably 20 minutes away from that. So what I want to convey to you is that's how quickly you can do this work in your classrooms. And I really want to ask you why you're not doing it. You know, why would you not do it? If every single student you have in your classroom walks in with this technology, why not do it? Why not support their learning? I want to make sure you have a chance to hear from Steele and Stephen really quickly, and then they're going to pass it to President Engstrom.
Hi. So this process has been a lot of fun. We got here at 8 o'clock, and we've been working really hard and diligently on trying to get you guys a finished product. So what we did is we used Final Cut Pro. Give me 1 second, I'll find it. We're not going to play it, but I'll just show you the... It's being a jerk. Never mind. Anyways, we have about a 2.5 minute product for you guys, and it'll be up on the website by the end of the day. And it's just coverage on interviews that we did throughout the day with individuals in the room. So I'm going to hand it to Steele.
Trying to record myself so I can see if I did a good job later. Hold on. Sorry, Hatton.
Once you train them to do this, it doesn't turn off. Get ready for that.
Hold on. 3 more seconds. All right. So, yeah, Hatton's class has been incredibly interesting. I started off... I've done 2 internships at the Flathead Beacon and the Missoula Independent recently, and have about $5,000 worth of camera gear that I've collected over the years. And I was a pretty big naysayer at the beginning of the class. I was taking it, the university, something got mixed up in my, in me graduating, so I had to take 3 credits, and I thought, oh, I'll take cell phone cinema, that sounds easy. To use my cell phone. But what I've come to find is that you really can, it's where the world's going. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but I think that a lot of people here are probably going to have to play catch up. Just because our generation, this is what we were born into it. And, you know, we were using AIM and stuff when, you know, I guess some of the older folks were probably still writing letters to each other. So as where like the internet came out, and you know that was the big thing. The new big thing, and I'm positive about this, is going to be apps. The whole social media scene from mobile devices is huge. If any of you have seen Windows 8, you'll notice that they've completely changed it to where it is in the form of like a tablet PC. It's not like the start menu. There's no start button anymore. It looks like what you would see on an iPhone. So that's where the world's going. The technology is here. It's just whether or not people choose to use it or not. I could give you a million examples, but it just takes, you know, people teaching these kids, because they're going to be the ones that are going to do these incredible things. And then someday I'll be sitting in a conference like this listening to them tell me about how I'm out of the loop. So anyways.
Thank you. Okay, I think you have some other people to hear from to wrap this up. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks very much. Let's give these guys a round of applause for their quick work. I'd like to just make a couple of closing comments and ask Alex to come up as well and join me. if he would. First of all, I want to say what a refreshing and energizing morning this has been. What a delightful way to spend time, to really be thinking about the big opportunities before us and hearing about the challenges before us as educators as well. So first of all, thank you for all of you for participating in what to me was a really fun morning. I have just a couple of thoughts here. One, I'm heartened that we are moving in what I think is the right direction, and you've seen so many good examples of that today. Starting out with Rick's talk, challenging us to take advantage of and enthusiastically embrace the world of technology, and I'm glad to see that we are doing that in so many ways, not without our challenges, and we have much work to do, obviously, but I'm so happy to see the movement there. One of the initiatives that we've had at the university here in these last couple of years is a Technology in the Classroom initiative, where we're trying to get 100% of our classrooms equipped with the right technology to do the kinds of things that we've heard about here this morning. I'm heartened by what I heard about the STEM initiative from David, and certainly enthusiastic about the Global Leadership Initiative. I think those are two great examples of moving our curriculum, our educational programming in the right direction. Something that didn't really come up explicitly this morning, but I think is also very important to our conversation, is really a statewide initiative on the part of the Montana University system called College Now. Dean Good is very heavily involved in this. It's all about two-year education and expanding the visibility and the opportunities that we have through two-year education. Earlier you heard James give accolades really to the College of Technology, but the whole system, the whole Montana University system, is moving in a direction of improving two-year education and making sure that educational opportunities are increasingly available through people there, or for people in the two-year system. I think that's a tremendous step forward, step in the right direction. But we have some challenges, and just a couple of ideas that came out of what I heard this morning. One thing that we want to do is to start a real, honest-to-goodness Montana Employers Forum, where we can sit down with people like we had here at the table this morning, who can give us frank and candid feedback on what we need to be doing as educators, what works, what needs improvement, and so on, and to be able to have those really heart-to-heart discussions about, are we preparing students for today's world the way we think we are? What are the gaps there, and so on? So we're going to be working on that together. Another thing that really struck me this morning that I think we need to be more explicit about is writing job descriptions for the people we hire. Making sure those job descriptions are explicit, that your job, in addition to teaching, research service, and all the standard things, your job is to innovate. That's not above and beyond the normal job expectations. That's integral to the job expectations at a university and a school system. We're hiring you to be an innovator. So when something new comes along, we don't view that so much as extra duty or whatever, but that is our core job, is to innovate in an educational sense. I do want to say that Alex and I have worked so well together, and this is a honest-to-goodness partnership, a formal relationship between MCPS and the University of Montana. And we've come so far in that relationship. To have these kinds of dialogues is something that wasn't happening earlier in time, and so I'm just delighted to see that it is happening. And I'm also very encouraged to see increasingly the involvement of the city and the county and the private sector in these conversations. And so I think we have such a special opportunity as a community here to move this kind of a partnership forward in a way, as Perry was saying, no other community in the country can match. I think we really have a special opportunity in that regard, and I'm so happy to see it moving forward. But it's not just about economic development. That tends to be a little bit what we focus on, and providing job opportunities and so on in today's world. But it's bigger than that. It's about the quality of life that we experience here as a community. It's about the jobs, but it's also about the arts and the humanities and the quality of life that we have in this very special place in which we live. There is not a night in this town where there aren't 4 or 5 or 6 or more choices of great things to do. And the relationship between the university and the community and the school system provides so many of those opportunities. It's something we really need to cherish and embrace, and I think we do that so well as a community. Finally, I would like to say once again, thank you to the steering committee that put this together. This is a great example of where you get a group of creative people together and you kind of say, plan something and run with it. Be as creative as you can, and they did. So I'd like to give a round of applause to the steering committee, the members of whom are listed in your program. And I'll just close with my thanks to all of you for being such great participants. It's a wonderfully opportunistic time for us here in Missoula, and I'm glad to see that we are really embracing that opportunity and taking advantage of the times we live in. So thank you all for being here. Alex?
Thank you, Dr. Engstrom. Thank you. I too would like to thank everybody for their effort and hard work to put this program together. And of course, we're continuing on with our staff at Hellgate High School this afternoon, starting at 3 o'clock. And we're going to be featuring our innovators and the people that are really moving the system forward. And we're real excited about that event also. You know, when you come to events like this, there might be some anxiousness and nervousness. But let me tell you that we're all doing a great job. Things are moving forward. You know, we just started this initiative not too long ago in terms of 21st century education. And Dr. Engstrom mentioned some of the things that are happening at the university, and things are happening in our school district and in our community. But just know that we're doing well. We're doing very, very well. And I believe we're doing very well because Missoula is a very special place. There's a tremendous amount of heart and passion and commitment to young people and to the community in Missoula. It's probably second to none. It's just a great place. And, you know, we talked about being courageous, about taking risks, about challenging the status quo. We're doing those things. It's not that we have to start being courageous. We've been courageous in Missoula. We've been courageous at the university. We've taken risks in our public schools, and we will continue to do so. And the reason we can is because we have a solid foundation. The community is very solid, and the community is not afraid to take risks, quite frankly. And we've been taking those risks throughout our public education system here in Missoula. So, what's really important is having the heart and the belief and the passion to continue our work, and to have a plan, to have a very specific plan to do the things that we've talked about today. Without a plan, without accountability, without allocating responsibility, and communicating that plan to not only Missoula, but to the state of Montana and beyond, that's critical to our success. We need to sit down in a very collaborative fashion, bringing citizens, the business community, the university, the public schools together, and develop a plan that will embrace and encompass everything that we've talked about today. We're on our way, folks. We're on our way. We're doing things here in Missoula that they're not doing in other communities. And I've had the opportunity recently to really take a good look at what they're doing in terms of public education in other places. And I can tell you this, and some of our teachers come back from conferences and some of our staff come back from conferences and they say, you know what, we're on the right track. And I can tell you we're on the right track. Do we have a lot of work to do? Absolutely, we do. But you know what? We know what needs to happen and why, and we're going to continue to do that work together. So today was a very, very special day. If you really think about today, truly special. the university, the public schools, business, and citizens coming together to talk about where we're going and why it's so important for all of us to be together in terms of that direction. So stay with us, stay dedicated to the cause, and we're going to continue to set the pace here in Missoula for the state of Montana and for our country. We have it all here. We really do. Again, thank you very much for everyone's hard work. And again, this is just the beginning. Just the beginning. Stick with us. Thank you and have a great day.